there, good friends. Welcome, new subscribers. I'm Brian from Apex Detail. When it comes to paint depth gauges or coating gauges, unless you're buying an expensive, more elaborate unit, you're still going to need experience and overall knowledge of clear coats from different years, makes, and models. Your more expensive, elaborate unit will measure the different coatings, as in primer, base coat, clear coat. Whereas in the more economical unit, as you're going to see today, will give you the overall reading, and you're going to have to rely on your experience and knowledge of clear coat to sort of gauge how much clear coat you can remove during a correction. And I'm going to show you that today. I'm going to show you how to calibrate it, use it, and actually give you a little insight on how much clear is removed on what I consider medium clear coat when doing single stage, a two-stage, and a multi-stage correction. So let's get to it. Let's take a closer look at the CM8801FN paint or coating thickness gauge. You could pick something like this up for the price range of $140 to $150. The kit consists of the gauge itself, the instruction manual, some calibration tools such as these calibration films here, and two pieces of metal, one aluminum, one stainless steel, again for calibration. It all fits nice and snug into this handy-dandy carrying case. Very compact. Now, again, the gauge only has two sensors, so you're not going to be able to measure from wood or plastic or glass or anything like that, just stainless steel and aluminum. And it's going to give you the overall reading, not individual. So to calibrate it, bring up the stainless steel piece here, and as you can see, it measures 0, 00, and that's what you want. Let's bring up the first film. We're going to measure that, and we'll see what we get in a reading compared to what is printed on the film. Gives me a reading of 1.9 mils. I'm measuring in mils. You can also switch over to microns, whatever you're comfortable with, and it is right on the money. Press the button on the left. It will give you the unit of measurement. You could switch from mils to microns there. The button on the right will flip the screen for you if you have to measure upside down. The multifunctional menu button can reset, calibrate, and scroll through 10 different readings that you can store on the unit. Right now we have this machine really dialed in, but you will have to calibrate periodically, and you can get it within a tenth of a mil and you'll be fine either way. So if we have a measurement that is 2 mils and you're at 2.1 or 1.9, you're in good shape, you're in the ballpark. It will fluctuate either way, but as you can see here, we're right on. When we do need to calibrate, I'm going to show you how to do that. And the very last reading was within a tenth of a mil, and that's acceptable. I will normally recalibrate every third time I use it, so pull out the calibration tools, the film, and the little piece of metal here. Take a measurement. You'll take notice we are 0.2 of a mil off the right reading, and from the film it's 3.9, so we'll hold in the menu button. It'll beep 3 times, the number will flash, and you'll press the plus button until we read 3.9. Hit menu again, and that will save it. Okay, now we are once again right on the money. How can a tool like this be utilized? Well, let me show you one of a few ways. Since it doesn't give you the reading of the thickness of the clear coat alone, you need to go around and take quite a few measurements. When a car comes in and I'm not familiar with it, this tool comes with me. I'm going to take 2 or 3 measurements for each panel. Now, those 2 measurements right there were a little bit above normal, and this quarter panel is going to be quite a bit below normal. It's going to be all over the place, as you're going to notice as we go around this car. At 20 years old, yes, there are going to be panels that have been repainted, corrected, filled in, and you need to go around and take measurements, and you'll get an idea of what the car's been through. This particular make and model, through experience, I know should be somewhere around 5 mils, and that is all of the layers complete: primer, base coat, and clear coat. And keep in mind, the clear coat portion of it is always going to be a little bit thicker. It's always going to have a little bit more material than the other coats. So the hood here is pretty much right on what I would expect for a 20-year-old car of this make and model. Now, if this car just rolled right off the assembly line, those numbers should be a little bit higher, but you have to take into consideration normal wear and tear, oxidation, and all Mother Nature does to strip that clear coat down. As we get around to the driver's door, you can see the numbers are starting to spike a little bit. Now, I really want to show you something here. When you come up to a portion of the vehicle and you get a reading like this, 22 mils, that's obvious there's filler in there. So you went around the car, have your clipboard and inspection sheet, and take note. When correcting this car, each panel will have to be treated differently. I will always open the door and get some readings in the door jamb area. And here should be pretty close to the hood, but less, because they're going to use less material naturally, less clear, less base coat and primer in those areas that do not see the sun on a regular basis, do not take a beating that the rest of the car will. And this reading here is pretty much normal of what you would get in this area. All right, so I have all of those readings noted on my sheet. So when it comes to the correction, let me give you an idea of how much clear coat is removed when you're doing a one-step, a two-step, or a multi-step. So the original reading, 4.3, right there at the arrow, we're going to measure the same spot every time, and we wrote that down. Now, we're going to start with a one-step, and we'll use 3D1, and we'll just use a short throw 8mm polisher, perfect for just enhancements. That's what this would be. And we'll take 2 passes, and that will emulate a crisscross pattern, and we'll take a new reading. So after an enhancement, if you take another reading, there should be no more fluctuation than 1/10 of a mil. We're really not removing clear coat. That should be measurable when doing just an enhancement. But we will make note of that. The second reading was 4.2 after the enhancement, and let's move on. How about a 2-stage correction? Well, then you're going to use a correction compound and a little bit more of an aggressive pad, and then follow up with the polish and the polishing pad. So it's 2 steps. So we're going to make the 2 passes again, emulating a crisscross pattern with the compound and a little bit more aggressive pad and polisher. We'll follow up, do the exact same thing with the polish, and we'll take yet another reading. For the second stage, which is a finishing or polish stage, we'll use Sonax Perfect Finish. All right, let's get another reading, and indeed you will see we dropped yet another 1/10 of a mil. So now we're at 4.1 from 4.3. We're going to take note of that, write it down, and move on and try a multi-step correction on it. Okay, to emulate a multi-step correction, first we'll start off with the ACA, the extra cut, and we'll team that up with a wool pad on the rotary. That will be the cutting stage. For the middle stage will be the medium cut. And finally, the polish or finish stage. Before we get to the next reading, I just want you to keep in mind this is just 3-stage. This isn't an extra jeweling stage, and we didn't also spot correct at the beginning using a wet sanding technique. Had we added those 2 extra steps, we would be able to remove more. You know, I really get a kick out of social media where you see these kids wearing their paint killer t-shirts and they're grinding away and sanding away. Guys, don't be a friend to the clear coat. Remove as little as possible. Grab you guys, bring you in close, get another reading, and we are indeed now down to 3.8. Now you have an idea of how much clear coat is removed during correction, and this meter helps you realize that. I have been hesitant to showcase a tool like this on a channel just because you really do need to get the basics down first, get some overall experience and knowledge of clear coats to make this type of a tool successful and work for you. Now, if you can swing the more elaborate unit that will give you the different layers, primer, base coat, clear coat, and I will showcase at the Felsco for you here in the future. You don't really need to rely on experience as much, but I would still get those basics down first. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Brian from Apex Detail. Catch you in the next video.